Hello, Polynomes. I would like you to sign up for the Learn Java course on the codeacademy.com website. I have the link here, but I will send it in an email. This video shows you how to sign up. You start by clicking Start. And the first thing they'll ask you to do, if you are not already a member of this online school, is to sign up. So here's 3 ways you could do it. I'm assuming you don't have a GitHub account yet. You could create an account based on your email and password and the username you want. You can use your Google account, your Facebook account, and alternatively your GitHub account. So let's say the easiest way to do this is to sign up with Facebook. Let's try that. So I'm signing up with Facebook. I have my credentials already, and I go log on. I'm using Facebook as a way to authenticate simply. So here we go. Well, this is a little message for them to me that isn't germane to you, but this here is the very first question. I probably signed up with Facebook already, and this is showing me the answers. So it's that easy to sign up for Code Academy. Okay, so after you sign up for the Learn Java course for Code Academy, you're going to come and find in the catalog the Learn Java. Assuming you get there, we click Start. And we're brought to it. Now, what are we looking at? Well, on the left-hand side, there's a lesson. And in this case, they're describing a very basic elements of Java. Now, notice on the left side also there are instructions. And they're telling you, let's get started. We're getting to know each other. On line 4, type your name within the double quotes between the parentheses like this. Now, what they're referring to is that they want you to type the code in here. So I'm going to say, hello, Joe Regan. Okay. Then they're instructing you to click Run. Okay, so I've typed in a little statement inside of another statement, and then I'm going to hit Run. Great. Now notice that my name and the hello greeting has been shown. And also notice that in the left-hand side there's a checkbox signaling that you have completed the first one. And then you click Next. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the second example. The instructions introduce you to the types of data. The first type is an int, which is an integer, a whole number. As you can see, this type gives you the range of values between negative and positive 2 million and change, or 2 billion and change there. Now, so what we'll do is I'm going to type a whole number in between the parentheses that meets this type. So I'm going to put my parentheses there, and I'm going to type in 5656. Right, and then let's see if it tells you, doesn't matter what type. Now I'm going to run it. And lo and behold, there is 5656. In our next example, we're being introduced to another type, the Boolean, which evaluates to either true or false. And now in the instructions, it says here that you can type the values true or false. Now notice that the spelling has to be case sensitive. I'm writing true, and if you had written this, it would be bad. It would not accept that value. So this value, which is called a literal, has to be spelled exactly right. So let's hit Run, and it prints out true, and my checkbox is there, and we're successful. Okay, so after the last example, you will also follow along. You will have clicked Next. We're on now covering a type called Char, or character. And the char is a literal that is surrounded with a single tick quote. Okay, so then we're going to do the same test, and we're going to have a single character, and I'm going to put in R. And I'm going to hit run. And there we go again. The R was printed, and we get our checkbox. And remember to click Next. Okay, so this time we're moving on to a slightly more complex example. And this time you'll notice that you will have 3 tasks to complete at this stage. And the class is introducing variables. So here you can see that there are 3 variables of the types that we have been working with. An int with the name of my number, a Boolean with the name of is fun, and a char with the name of movie rating. Now the important thing to remember that any of these statements, that's what these are called statements, they must be concluded with the semicolon. Notice here that they have all been completed with semicolon. As is, this program would run, and it would be what's called syntactically correct, meaning that everything, all the symbols like int, Boolean, and char, and the names for variables are correct, and the semicolon is correctly marking it. So let's take a look at the instructions. The first one is set the int variable my number equal to the value of 42. Now, a word to all of us. The program that is evaluating your text entry here is actually looking to see that it really says 42, so you want to follow along. So I'm going to set that equal to 42, and they are also going to say run. It's kind of silly, but you run it. Notice that it did check it, that it did say 42, and they're asking us to set the Boolean variable is fun. Boolean is fun. Same thing now. I didn't say before, but that equal sign is actually called an assignment operator, and we're assigning that value 42 to my number. So we're going to assign the value true to the variable is fun, which is of type Boolean. We're going to click run again, and we have once again met the very low bar of setting that variable. Let's do the third one. It's telling us to set the char variable movie rating equal to A. So we go here, we do the assignment variable, we do the single character quote mark, and we put the A there, and we click run, and we get our 3 check marks. So just to review, that we have a variable type, and that's what this is all about here, is that we're declaring types, that these names are variables of type int that get values such as 42, or a variable is fun of type Boolean gets a value of true, because remember Boolean is ultimately true or false, and char type variable movie rating gets a char type A. Click next, and we'll go on to the next video. Okay, so this is the last lesson in this module, and what the lesson is asking you to consider is how our code looks. In other words, how well it reads. Readable code, you will find, is a very important part of collaborating with others. If we're all writing code together, we should be able to read our code. In fact, you should be able to read your own code. So although this statement here is correct, it's formatted so poorly it's hard to read. So the instructions here is to format this code so that it reads nicely. And they want us to take this guy, system.out.println is formatted, and bring it to line 5, which it has done. Now notice that when I did that, it also straightened out this line. Boolean is formatted equals false. Now we're going to take this, and we are going to run it. because now it is where they wanted it to be. And there we go. You see our false value printed out. We get our check mark, and we are done with that lesson. Let's click next. Up till now, we've been working with statements, and statements end with a semicolon, and we've been using a method of printing different types of data to this area here. You can consider this like a console, like on the Mac terminal or on the PC command line. And at this point, let's say we've written all this code, but we want to say something about our code. That's where the idea of a comment comes in. So this here, I encourage you to read this. A comment comes in two types. You can see that there's a single line comment and a multi-line comment. So you guessed it, we're going to put some comments in line with our code. So the statement on line 4 prints out noise. Ask Java to ignore it by commenting it out. So you can easily do that by clicking on the / character. Now that won't run. So it won't print out anymore. So I'm going to click run. And you see the output was nothing because we didn't print anything. In the second case, we're going to put a comment and write a multi-line comment that begins anywhere after the single line comment you just wrote. And the comment can say anything. So let's say that I use the opening quote, which is like that. You notice it's / with an asterisk. And I'm going to say polynomials are going to rock the FTC. It will take lots of teamwork. Okay, so that's a multi-line comment. I close that comment with the asterisk followed by that /. Now I can clean that up a little bit. Click run, and we once again have gotten that correctly. Let us move on to the next problem. Okay, so after our comments, we are now being asked to do a little calculation. We're going to do some arithmetic. And as the example here in the lesson shows, you can do all kinds of mathematical operations. Our problem now is to set the int variable my number to the product of two numbers. So I'm going to do that. I click my mouse. I'm going to say 42 times 12. Don't forget your semicolon. And now we have a two-line statement, and we're printing out my number. Clicking run. We see that we've come up with the product of two numbers, and we have done it correctly. Next. See you in the next video. Okay, so now we're going to do a slightly more complicated problem. We're going to work with the modulo operator, and this is represented in Java by the % symbol. And it returns the remainder of dividing two numbers. Okay, so then we're going to try this example. It shows that 15 mod 6. Well, that would be that'd be 2 with a remainder of 3. So now they're going to ask us to use the modulo operator to set the variable my remainder to equal to 2, and you can use any two numbers that return a remainder value. So let's think about that. So for me, if I tried, let's say 5 divided by, modulus 2, that's going to give us 1. That's not right. 5 modulus 3 would give us 1 with a remainder of 2. So I do that, and we're going to print that, and that should say 2. If not, I will erase this video. Success. Okay, now this just shows that we can take a calculation and once again print it out to the console. On to the next. Okay, so now we're going to learn about relational operators. So relational operators are the operators we use to produce a Boolean variable. Now let's go through that. A Boolean value means that the result of an operation returns true or false, no matter how complicated that operation. So here are a few relational operators that they identify. You've got less than or equal to, greater than, and greater than or equal to. And when you place it between two numbers, obviously you can get a result. So here the example is 5 is less than 7 is a true statement. 9 is less than 7 is a false statement. So now we're going to do the same thing ourselves. We're going to use one of the relational operators above to compare any two integers. Now notice that we don't have equality. We're going to get to that in a second. So we'll use an example here that we're going to say 42 is less than 10. So we know the answer to that. We're comparing them, and it doesn't matter, and this is going to be false. And that is true. I mean, it's true that it's false. On to the next. So up till now we've used the Boolean operators that involved greater than or less than, or greater than or less than equal to. Now we're going to directly go into equality. And the lesson is showing examples here using the equality operator. The key thing to notice is that the equality operator has two equal signs. Remember that when we use one equal sign, as in this example here, that we're assigning the value of the letter A to the char variable my char, and same with -2 to the int variable my int. But when we compare those two, then we are saying we're comparing their equality. And now you may be wondering why they're comparing a letter with a number, and that we can talk about at a later date, but the example is implying that they are comparable because they're both ultimately numbers. So let's go and look at that. Obviously they are the equality statement is false in that case. So now we're going to use any equality operator to directly compare two Boolean values. Do not declare any variables. So that just means they want you to use literals. So I could say something like this. I could say 17 is not equal to G. Right? Now, here's a little hint, is that these characters are equal to numbers ultimately, and I'm about 99% certain that the value of G is not 17. But I do know that the letter lowercase a might be 65, but we'll try that again in a little while. So let's run this one. This is going to be, it's true that it's not equal to it. All right. Now just for the heck of it, let's try this example and see if I can make that point, that 65 is not equal to lowercase a. Now if I'm right about that, this should be false. It's true. Maybe it's 60. Let's try it. It's true. I have forgotten what ASCII A is. Let's go look it up. What is the value of ASCII A, lowercase a? and it looks like I have to click here to find it. Alrighty. The ASCII lowercase a is 97. So why don't we try that? There's my code. So if that's right, then this should say false now. See, it is false, showing that the letter A actually is 97. Well, on to the next. So up to now we have learned the very basics of the Java language that involve the simplest constructs of comments and variables and types. We've looked at 3 types: the Boolean, the int, the char, and we've looked at statements and equality operators and other Boolean operators. So this has you go through the basics that we just did, and now we're going to do a little work. We're going to write a single comment anywhere you want. It can be anything. Make sure it starts with the slash. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to say / this is a pithy comment. Okay, I'm going to run it. And it likes it. My check mark. Set the Boolean variable is complete to true. Well, I can find my Boolean is complete. I'm going to set it to true and run it. So it knows when you've been naughty. If you've set it to false, it would know that. And let's go to the third. Set the int variable awesome level equal to 121. Let me show you that that would be true. I'm going to set it to 120, and it's going to say because they really mean it when they say they want it to be 121. Okay, so I will do that and run it again, and there I get my gold star. And then we move on to number 4, and we're setting the int variable epic level equal to the awesome value multiplied by 2. Now this is interesting. It wants to have you make a calculation with another variable and then use the product of that times 2. So let's do it now. Remember that of course it has to be spelled exactly right, and we've learned that they really want to see that too. But let's see. Remember that variable names, they call them identifiers in the language, that they follow case sensitivity. That means that if I took this here and did a lowercase l and I ran run, you will see a syntax error. Cannot find symbol epic level equals awesome level. You see, because I made that a lowercase l. So it will not compile. It will not run because it will not compile. So I have fixed that, and I've made the L uppercase, and I hit run, and we have joy. Now you may be wondering, I haven't seen anything on the screen. Well, that's coming up next. We're going to uncomment this print statement. We do that by putting our cursor before the comments and after the comments and clearing this to print out epic level, and then we run it and we see our product, and we are successful once again. Let's go on to the next video, and here we see that we have completed our quiz. I'm sorry, we've completed our exercises. So now we can take a quiz, but I will do that in the next video. So here we are on the quiz at the end of this first section, and I would like you all to take the quiz to see how you did in absorbing the material. I encourage you all to take your time with this and to kind of absorb the information. For those of you that are already experienced programmers, I will send some further instructions for you. So we're going to check our knowledge. So now we're being asked to answer the question, will store what value? So we know that 10 mod 3 is going to be, the answer is going to be 1. Why? Because 3 goes into 10 3 times with a remainder of 1. And that is correct. And we go next. And which of the following represents a valid comment in Java? Well, I can tell you that this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, and the remaining winner is this. Now, can you tell me why this one is wrong? Right? It looks like it starts correctly, but aha, it ends without the asterisk before the forward slash. And then this comment is confused that none of these characters around it are anywhere near being Java. They're from HTML. This is a, I believe it's a Python comment. And then finally, we have our legitimate comment, so we'll give that an answer. Okay, the variable tricky will store what value? So we're looking for this tricky Boolean variable, and we're answering the question. Now, notice this here, that there's an assignment variable, there's an expression with parentheses, and there's an equality operator, and then there's a literal true. So we already know that it can't be a number, so it's got to be one of these two, and it can't be error. So let us try. So 5 is less than or equal to 5 is true. And is true equal to true? The answer is yes. And there you go. True is equal to true. Now, finally, are there any errors in the following line of code? Okay, so now when you're looking at this code, look at the structure of the line. This piece of string here, the int, is a variable type. And it's the type that takes whole numbers. And then here's an identifier called status. And then here's the assignment operator. So it's going to take whatever's on the right-hand side of that, and it's going to assign it to this. And then at the end you have a semicolon. So the question is this literal value of type int? And the answer is yes, there's definitely an error there. And so let's look at the options that it has. Yes, remove the semicolon at the end of the line. No, that's not the problem. Change the int to Boolean. That seems like a possibility. And then this is not true, there are no errors, because that's a Boolean literal being assigned to an integer variable. And then this one is wrong because there is no var as far as I know in Java. So we are going to change the int to a Boolean, and then that literal can be assigned to Boolean status. And that's correct. So we're going to go on and answer some more questions. The variable GMWS will store what value? Okay, so it's an int, and we see that there is a parentheses that's going to be evaluated first. So this is equal to 2 times 3 is 6. And that is correct. So all we did is that we tried to reduce the expressions to their parts, and then do the calculation, then assign it to the int variable. That's all we did. Alright, which of the following represents a valid comment in Java? Okay, so we know that this is not true because we would need 2 of those. You see how a language might get confused if it saw that? It might think it's trying to divide something. Now, in this case, once again, we've seen that this is not a valid Java comment. This is an HTML comment. This is looking pretty good. It's got the forward slash asterisk, asterisk forward slash. Again, you know, I could have pointed out before, but they're symmetrically mirror images of each other, so that's why we know that this is a multi-line comment, and again, this is not a Java comment. Okay, so we are so far batting 100. And we're going to ask ourselves, what does the following code do? So we know that when we see system.out.print line, that it's going to print something. Yes, and it's going to print the thing. And it's either going to be a number of Boolean, true or false, or a 10. So let's look. So you're always looking for all the operators here. So first, 5 plus 5. Well, okay, 10. Not equal to 110. Yes, that's interesting. And then mod 100. I'm guessing that this and this are going to be evaluated after this is evaluated. This is a trick question because we're talking about operator precedence, and I think I glossed over that in the one of the sections before. But this is basically saying 10 is not equal to 0, and that is true. So then I have not done the operators correctly, so maybe you guys can help me. So I think it's saying that this is 5 plus 5 is not equal to 10 mod. Oh, you know what? See, this is what I did, guys. I misread the number, so now I know why I'm wrong. So the answer to this is definitely 10, and that is definitely false. So I have made a mistake. Let's keep it in the video. Someday I'll be able to look more closely at these numbers. The following expression will evaluate to what value? So 5 is certainly not equal to 6. So we can say that this is true. And now we are done. And that's all for this module.